This meeting is being transcribed and summarized.
All right, so we're good? All right. Good evening, everyone. My name is Jason Waterbury. I'm the Assistant Manager here at the District of Engineering, and I'm here with Jeff King, who is a Construction Manager, who will discuss some of the construction compliance efforts that we have later on in this presentation. This is the annual update and quarterly update for our Integrated Plan Implementation Program ending 2025. Let's see. There we go. On the screen right now is our agenda. We're going to give a update on our integrated plan focus on North Hartford through 2025. We're going to give an update on the projects completed, schedule for work remaining, and like I said, Jeff's going to talk about our construction compliance efforts. Our next meeting is, I think that date's, oh no, the next meeting is June 11th, 2026. Sorry, I couldn't believe I forgot that it was March already. And then we're going to have time for any public comments or questions. It's an outline of our presentation. Like I said, we're going to focus on North Hartford. We go over what our consent order requirements are and an overview of the projects to date and our compliance efforts focusing on SBE, MBE, WBE, and local labor requirements. This slide is a refresher on what the North Hartford geographical area is. As you're aware, work in the North Hartford pilot program includes sewer lateral and mainline repair and rehab projects, as well as sewer separation projects. Some recent photos of work in the Gully Brook and North Meadows area is shown on the screen. Later on this presentation, I'm going to go through some updates as to accomplishments to date and statuses of projects. Is there a reason why those two TVs aren't on? Oh yeah, because that way I'm not looking this way. Sorry about that. Thank you. And this slide shows an overview of what we're required to present per our consent order. No changes from prior presentations, as the Commissioner Deep did not have any specific items to request. We did post the draft version of this report on our website approximately 30 days ago. And then the final version, which is the one I'm going over tonight, will be posted on our website shortly after the meeting. Are you clicking or am I clicking? Okay. Project statuses through the end of 2025 are shown on the screen. The only project that changed the status is the drainage study, which is now officially considered complete. We're still showing the proposed modifications in the consent order milestones on the screen. Those are the blue diamonds. We're still working with DEEP on getting those officially memorialized. Of note, Granby 7 sewer separation did start design in Q1 of 2026. That project is expected to complete design in January 2027 and will be going to construction in spring of 2027. Also, part 2 of the 18-inch brick projects did finish its design in the end of 2025 and the procurement period began. I expect that award to actually get executed either end of Q1 of 2026 or early of Q2. Consistent with our prior updates, this slide shows the projects that had the consent order modifications requested and why. The primary reason for West Hartford SCS and the 18-inch brick projects is just a significant increase in dig work, as well as some utility conflicts, and that's why the 18-inch brick was split into 3 parts. We did, through the end of 2026, end of 2025, receive our approval from DEEP for the final approvals for phase 1 of Windsor Street, which is the sewer rehab work. So that work is going to be starting up pretty soon. We also bid part 2 recently, which is the water main work on Windsor Street. That work will be starting up within the next couple months. And phase 3 is still on the same schedule that is shown on the screen. West Hartford SCS did have a little bit of a winter shutdown due to the cold extreme weather, but however, we're still on target to complete that project by the end of April of 2026. And I will go into the Granby separation projects now. As shown on this slide, the original plan was Granby 7, 8, and 9 following the drainage study. This was the target, as that area could drain to a City of Hartford-owned conduit in the area. However, when we started the actual drainage study, and we're looking at the conditions of the conduit and whatnot, and did some analysis of it, it was determined that with the vegetation in that conduit, the capacity was significantly reduced. And unfortunately, that gave us enough concern where all of Granby 789 would not flow into that conduit as it was without some significant improvements to it. We also determined that through the modeling that these conditions likely contributed to some of the street flooding in the area during some recent storm events, or some of the large recent storm events in the last couple of years. So given those concerns, we then stepped back and looked at where else in the Granby area we can focus our sewer separation efforts. We looked at what was known as Package B, which is the blue area on the screen, and also Package C, which is the red area on the screen. When we looked at these, we looked at constructability, we looked at how easily the project could be designed and how quickly the project can be designed and constructed, as well as costs. Ultimately, project Package C really came to the forefront between the two of them due to the construction size, design challenges that were associated with Package B, with utility conflicts and size of pipes, as well as the fact that Package C does present more benefit to the community, as that's an area that does see more street flooding during rain events compared to the footprint of Package B. As such, when we met with DEEP in December of last year, September last year, we did recommend proceeding with Package C, which is Granby 4 and 11. Granby 4 is a sewer separation project. Granby 11 is a new outfall. The separation in the Granby 4 area is not reliant on the outfall being built. There is an existing outfall in the area that can be used in a temporary fashion. In addition, in order to keep providing benefit to the northern part of the Granby area, we agreed that Granby 7 could proceed. So that's why that design did start up last month. And unfortunately, we cannot proceed right now with Granby 4 and 11 until we have a modified consent order. That modification will have to remove Granby 8 and 9 from the short-term calendar plan that we're in right now, which is known as Phase 1 of the integrated plan. And we will add in Granby 4 and 11. As soon as that consent order is modified and Granby 4 and 11 starts up design, that schedule will be formalized, and then we can give updates in future presentations. Excuse me. Shown on this slide are some recent photos from the Westland Garden project on the left-hand side, as well as the updates that we provided to the public for Tower and Woodstock Branford when those projects completed. With Westland Garden likely finishing up mid this year, a similar update will be provided when that's finished. And then same thing when the rehab in the north end of Hartford as those projects complete by the end of this year. This slide shows before and after pictures for a sewer separation project, just from a piping perspective, just to give the public a general idea of what we're trying to accomplish here. The pictures on the left show pre-MDC work with the roof leaders coming down the side of the house and then going into the ground. Presently, that's going into the house. Presently, that's going to the same pipe that exits the house with the sewage flow. Hence, it's a combined pipe. It has stormwater and or rainwater and sewage. After our work, we want to have that pipe not have the roof leaders not discharge into the sanitary sewer or the sanitary sewer lateral. So that's why you see on the right-hand side new piping installed, picking up those the flow from the roof leader as well as sump pumps, and then bringing that to the road for a separate storm drain. This slide shows the CSO reductions over time by project. The green projects are the projects that are completed. No changes since the last presentation, as no new projects were completed in the end of quarter 4 of 2025. The only one that was completed was the drainage study, but that doesn't represent any CSO reductions, as those will be carried forward with the actual sewer separation projects. This slide shows our sewer improvements outside of the consent order that are ongoing. One of the key highlights is that we did, via our on-call sewer program, line 9 miles of sewer in 2025. Our easement clearing program continues. We're still in Weathersfield right now, with West Hartford being the next town that we're going to go into. And then the lining of easement sewers in Bloomfield, which is shown on here as Bloomfield Phase 1, Bloomfield Phase 2, is in design. The design wrapped up at the end of 2025. We were in a permitting process at that point in time. We've recently obtained all our permits, and the project has been submitted to DEEP for approval to advertise. As soon as that is done, we will be advertising the project for construction bids. I expect the project to go into construction probably late summer of 2026. This is a slide just showing overall footprint of what our activity is in North Hartford. The only change compared to the last quarter is that the drainage study is now shown as complete. That's the large green footprint that extends from the northwest corner all the way down to Farmington Avenue on the western side of Hartford. Again, we're still in construction in most of the Granby area, the Blue Hills area, as well as the Gully Brook area, which is the middle of the north end, as well as the North Meadows area, which is that northeast portion of the north end. Okay, this is going to require some toggling for you, so you can toggle the first one. Unless you want me to try. Right button? Left button, okay. There we go. All right, so the first thing that shows up on the screen is the expedited sewer separation projects. Again, the gray is projects that are completed, with starting in the upper left-hand side, that's Durham Street. Then proceeding towards the right in the middle, that's the Woodstock-Brantford area. And then you've got the Westland Garden area in the middle, right there, with red and gray. That project is still in construction. The biggest accomplishment at the end of 2024 was that the storm drain installation on Risley Street was completed. We also did road restoration on Risley and Garden Street, and we started the large drainage connection on Westland Street. And we've actually done a significant percentage of that and proceeding eastward on that. And then on the right-hand side is the Windsor Street sewer separation area. That, like I said, it was broken up into 3 phases, with the rehab of the existing combined sewer system and laterals proceeding first. Some of that work started in late 2025. The actual rehabilitation work should be starting up very, very shortly. I would say March or April of this year. And then phase 2 is the water main work. That project was advertised for bids, with bids opened very recently. So that construction will start towards the end of the summer of 2026 and proceeding into early 2027. And then the storm drain work, which is ultimately the biggest bang for your buck in that area, that'll happen about a year from now, starting up in spring of 2027. Oh, am I going the wrong direction? Next project on the screen is the Tower Ave Sewer Rehabilitation Project. That project is complete, has been completed for over a year. Then you've got the North Branch Park River area sewer rehab project. That project's in construction right now, with about 96% of the sewer mainland street being lined, and about 67% of the houses have the laterals lined. The North Meadows project is the one that just highlighted on the screen. That one has about 15% of its mainline sewers lined, and about 6% of its laterals have been lined. And then the Gully Brook area, which is the big chunk in the middle that just highlighted, that has about 60% of its main line having been lined, and about 13% of the laterals have been lined. I see that in all 3 of those projects that I just mentioned are still on target to be completed by the end of 2026. This is the drainage study, like I said, that has been completed, and then really the focus in this area is now moving on to actual sewer separation design, but we have a slide dedicated to that. Then you've got the Granby 7, 8, 9 sewer separation. And again, all 3 are still shown on here because that is officially what's still in our consent order, is those 3 projects. However, Granby 7 has started up as design, and Granby 8 and 9 will be swapped out, or are expected to be swapped out, with Granby 4 and 11, like I mentioned on the prior slides. And this is the whole picture of all the projects in North Hartford that we are working on right now. This slide is a repeat from prior presentations, with the main purpose being just showing how customers can get involved or participate in our sewer backup prevention program or sewer house connection program. I have some pictures showing some examples of this work, but the main purpose of the backup prevention program is to protect customers' plumbing fixtures and other sewer lateral fixtures in the basement from backing up during heavy rain events or a backup event. And the House Connection program is a free program, or both programs are a free program, but the House Connection program is a program offered to all MDC customers where their lateral can be inspected, and if there's defects found, it can be renewed or replaced. Here's an example of a house that was had work done as part of the backup prevention program. Every house is different, so there's really, if we try to show all the possible iterations of backup prevention program work, we'd have many slides. With every project every house is basically a unique project, and it's very different. Our utility services basically has to kind of solve each problem on its own. But on the left-hand side, you have the pre-existing conditions where you have the sump in the middle of the floor that was obviously open to the air and could flood out someone's basement, and then you have unprotected fixtures like a wash machine or sink shown on the right-hand side of that picture. On the right-hand picture, you have the new sump pump that now basically discharges outside from that foundation pit, and you also have new plumbing from the wash machine or slop sink that was in the basement that is now protected and cannot be backed up with a backwater valve. And then again, some more examples of types of plumbing fixtures that we've worked on or work that we've done as part of our backup prevention program. You've got a slop sink on the left that would have a new backwater valve or check valve installed so that it could be protected. You've got a sump pit in the middle, which is basically replacing that foundation drain pit that is frequently found in the basement. A lot of times it's open air. And then on the right-hand side is a basically temporary solution, but when we do put in those sump pumps, we will have to discharge to the lawn if there's no storm lateral available at that property. Long-term plan would be a storm lateral at every single property, with that pipe being buried in the ground, as long as the property owner is that's what the property owner desires. Now, this slide shows some numbers as to the backup prevention program. In Q4 of 2025, we had 253 additional properties that we reached out to. Uncoincidentally, we actually had 253 properties that responded. I can't be certain that it's the same 253. And then we're up to about 951 properties that have had recommended improvements, with about 85% of them having work done. Again, this is purely driven by customers responding. Most of these properties have been reached out to multiple times, but we are well over 4,000 as far as number of properties that we've reached out to. This shows the number of properties that participated in either the backup prevention program or the house connection program in 2025, in Q4 2025, with 234 having participated in one, the other, or both. Now, moving ahead to the year as a whole, we had over 1,100 customers participate in one of these two programs. And again, that could be just having an inspection, having an assessment, or actually having work done. It's anywhere in that gamut of possibilities. Now, going ahead to consent order work outside of North Hartford, but still in Hartford proper. No change to any of the statuses on the projects of this slide. Oh, sorry. How do I go back? I'll go to the whole thing. There we go. No changes to any statuses of projects on this slide. Like I mentioned earlier, the part 2 of the 18-inch brick project is going to be moving into construction soon. The part 1 is in its winter shutdown right now. We'll be starting up soon. It is about 90% complete. And then, I didn't mean to do that. But then, no change to the tunnel status either. No, we're fine. It's fine. I don't want to confuse things right now. How do I get rid of it? There we go. Consent order projects outside of Hartford, no change to statuses. However, West Hartford SSCS, we have completed 90% of the mainline lining in that project area, and 20% of the laterals have been lined. The drainage study, like I said, is now officially complete. The district and the city of Hartford have had all their comments addressed, and the final report has been submitted. Really, the only outstanding issue at this point in time is that our consultant is doing a executive summary just to make it more public reader friendly, to summarize all the investigations and recommendations. However, like I said earlier, the focus now is moving into sewer separation design and construction, with Granby 7 being the first one moving forward, and that'll go into construction about a year from now. The drainage study for the city whole, which is a key element in our upcoming 2028 long-term control plan update, is underway, and has been underway since for about a year now. That project in Q4 of 2025, all the hydraulic modeling was completed. All the walking field investigations of open water courses have been completed, and we started getting set up to do our CCTV inspections for the drainage conduits. Slightly delayed to cold weather and freezing. It's kind of hard to do that when everything's full of ice, but that work is going to start up very soon now that winter's starting to thaw. Now for some our key performance indicators which we're required to present per our consent order. We have two slides here. One is district-wide, and then we'll have one just for North Hartford. I want to focus on what was done in 2025, and we have visuals for all of this as well. One of the key things I want to point out, in 2025, we lined almost 35 miles of sewer, and we lined nearly 3,000 property owner laterals. Those are very large numbers. It's a huge accomplishment for both our engineering and construction departments. And we also put in over 5,000 feet of new sewer or storm drain. So those are very large numbers, and when you see the visuals, you'll see how they compare to actually overall since 2019, and it's kind of mind-blowing. Now, when you move into North Hartford, again, 8 miles of sewer lined, 2,000 laterals have been inspected, another 1,400 laterals were lined. Those are really large numbers, and it really shows that in 2025, which was what was expected, the work was really ramping up. I expect similar numbers in 2026 as the work kind of in North Hartford and those 3 large rehab contracts wraps up. And here's that visual I was referencing. When you look at the orange is the work program to date, so basically starting in the end of 2019, middle of 2019. And purple is what was done in 2025. So for several of these items, including the laterals inspected, the mainline lining work, laterals renewed, the work in 2025 represents a good chunk of what we've done program to date. And I think you'll see that again in 2026, where you'll see similar quantities of work done in 26 as what you saw in 2025. And here's North Hartford, same kind of thing. Obviously, the lateral renewal is a focus in North Hartford with those lateral lining contracts. Large percentages of the work done program to date were done in 2025. I think this really shows that picture. The next 2 slides, no changes. These are here to show CSO reductions in both the North Branch Park River area, which is what this slide is, and the next slide shows Gully and North Meadows. While we have certainly reduced CSOs as we continue to line pipe and whatnot in North Hartford and through district-wide, we don't actually consider the CSO reduction for a project to have basically hit the books until the project's officially complete. So as those projects complete towards the end of this year, you'll see these numbers increase. And here's the North Meadows section. And now I'm going to hand it over to Jeff.
Thank you, Jason. Good evening, everyone. Before we get into the workforce development and construction compliance, we just want to start where all of this stuff begins, which is the community. So throughout 2025, we maintained a strong community engagement and project outreach under the leadership of Julia McLaughlin and Nick Slemme for our North Hartford pilot projects for our backwater valve work and house connection work under the sewer backup prevention program. The outreach is very comprehensive. We do it in various ways. Mailings, door-to-door notifications, active participation in various NRZ meetings, and even construction meetings on a monthly basis so the staff stays up to date with what's going on. Our outreach office is located at 179 Barber Street. It's fully staffed Monday through Friday at those hours above. This office serves as a central hub, so people from the community can come in to get various informations on project updates, see what the schedule is going on for the various construction projects, talk about career opportunities, and contractors can come in for resources as well. If you're interested in any jobs at the MDC, we encourage you to visit our website. As well, we have project updates on the various projects on our website. And we just want to let people know that outreach keeps residents informed and strengthens our workforce pipeline and ensure MDC's projects are just transparent. Next slide. So this year in 2025, we did a lot as far as certification with our minority businesses. We moved from just certification process to being more marketplace ready. So in each month, we had various themes for our DAS certification and renewal process. We worked closely with our partners at Connecticut DAS, Apex Accelerator, and NAWIC, as well as University of Hartford. And in Q4, we basically just did an audit to see that all of our contractors who were working on more NBC projects had zero gap in their certifications. So that was great in keeping that workflow going, it was just a success all around. As far as the growth of our minority businesses, the foundation was laid, and now it was really focusing on the engine. We did that through a partnership with HEDCO. Initially, we had contractors move from COD to being more terms and being more financially ready and sound. In Q3 of which you already heard, we did a gap analysis to figure out what our contractors needed to make sure that engine was running smooth. And we did various workshops with HEDCO, focusing on marketing and estimating. And in Q4, we focused more on job costing and things of that nature, so that contractors could make sure they stay competitive as they grow. Next slide. So as far as our joint ventures with all of our different contractors, we initially started off this process by teaming up some of the smaller contractors with the bigger contractors. The way we transitioned from Q1 to Q4 now is that a lot of our smaller contractors have now become prime contractors, helping make sure our Hartford resident goal stays intact. And they really picked up a lot of workload from our utility services under our backwater valve and house connection programs. And as always, we've talked about our contractor standards and field training. We basically wanted to make sure that contractors, whether it was submitting documents or invoicing or installing the work, that no matter what contractor is doing the work, they're all doing it to the standards of utility services. So that went really well. In addition to that, in Q4, we really focused on doing more of like a basement assessment blitz, which I'll get into further. But it was really, how do we make sure that these new contractors that went through the training program with HEDCO, how do we make sure that they continue to take on more work and keep up with backwater valve and house connection program work? So as far as, working with our contractors, we always talk about our community engagement and building the pipeline for our contractors in the MDC. So we just want to talk about some of our key community partners as far as attending weekly meetings at the Greater Hartford African American Alliance, attending all the different various NRZ meetings to keep the community up to date. We had great success at Weaver, getting those high school students their 10-hour OSHA training so they could go out into the workforce and seek jobs. And we did a lot of work with our partners at Pratt & Whitney and the Hartford Public High School with the Industry Advisory Board, where we met on a monthly basis to figure out how can we really impact the classroom experience, really helping students bridge the gap between what they're learning and what's happening in the actual workforce. So we also participated in some other events at these high schools, such as Trade Tuesdays, Workforce Wednesdays, where we would go into the school and really just promote what's happening at the MDC as far as career opportunities and just our industry across the board. We visited other high schools that had either job fairs or learning workshops, so students could really get more exposure to what's happening at the MDC, as well as staying in contact with our technical schools and participating a little bit more in our quarterly meetings with Ready CT under the Early Career Learning Advisory Board, where a lot of industry leaders came together, whether it's insurance, healthcare, the MDC being one, and letting the schools know what we would like them to be teaching their students as far as getting them job ready. Next slide. As far as all the events that we attended over the years, I won't bore you with the long list, but some notable ones in quarter one was the Rocky Hill Construction Career Fair, where we ended up getting one of our meets there hired to one of our contractors, BLD, who does a lot of the lining that Jason talked about. I'll skip down to quarter four, but what we really did in quarter four was we attended we attended 6 events. Tungus Community College, Hartford High. We hosted a DOT transportation matchmaking event with our partners at MCC. We attended a workforce summit at Gateway Community College, and a couple other job fairs where we were able to meet contractors and really promote the various jobs that our contractors have, as well as MDC. So overall, quarter four was based upon really keeping up with feeding that pipeline of workforce opportunities. Next slide. So as far as the different programs that we've scaled and built throughout all of these various events and partnerships, we've had great success with our Tri-Trade program. You've heard about this in the previous reports, but we had 12 high school students come into the MDC Tri-Trade program where they all got their Flagger certification. We ended up bringing 8 of those students back for summer internships under our work-based learning program. We had our first female participant who worked in plant maintenance. And in quarter four, we really focused on how do we keep in contact with all these students who are going through our Tri-Trade program, who are now 20 and 21. How can we better bridge that gap so we can see if they can get long-term employment with MDC or our contractors? So that was a great initiative that we looked back into our roster and really kept in contact with these students who are going through the Tri-Trade program. So as far as retention is concerned, things are happening great at MDC, but we really wanted to make sure that our contractors who are taking on some of these new hires are having high retention and good success rates. So as you can see, we've had about 13 Hartford residents that have now seeked long-term employment. And on the previous slide, we talked about keeping in contact with those 20 to 21-year-old students who came from our 2024 Tri-Trade cohort. So what we're seeing is we had a lot of students get their Flagger certification. So the process that we're working on now is how can we get them into the next step? How can we get their CDL? How can we get them into a laboring role? How can we get them, not from the MDC experience, but how can we get them deeper into the workforce? Additionally, we had a OIT position, more OIT positions open up at MDC. So now we have a roadmap where we can bring in these younger adults into entry-level position jobs and really see that they can work their way up to getting their Class 1 certification as a water or wastewater treatment operator. So through this model, with all these opportunities, we're really taking on a bigger brother coaching model, so we can just talk to these younger kids on a very informal basis, right? Like a lot of them are great with doing the hands-on work, but outside of school and outside of work, there are things that can get in the way of getting your Class 1 operator's license. Perhaps video games or something like that gets in the way. So you have to kind of give that big brother approach of getting on the right path.
Next slide.
Last one. And as far as our education partners, we're continuing to stay in contact with the technical schools and the various colleges through the Handshake portal. And we brought in a couple universities here. UHeart is one. They had a great tour at our wastewater facility. Next slide. So let's talk about the metrics basically. So we're doing a great job with our Hartford resident goal as far as the 30%. We've hired about 20 Hartford residents to date. One of our great companies, Top Notch Flaggers, who went through that HEDCO program, he's now hiring about 8 Hartford employees. And it's just looking great across the board between All Points and Service Relief and TT&CA as well as Aztec Landscaping. They've scaled their operations to doing 2 to maybe 3x more work than they were doing initially at the MDC. So that's great that these contractors are really stepping up and filling the void to help us with that Hartford resident number. As far as our student pipeline, we brought in 8 students for the work-based learning program. A total of 14 students have gotten summer internships at the MDC to date. And as far as the cohorts from 2024 and 2025, we've hired 3 full-time employees at the MDC, 2 from Hartford Public High School, 1 from Newington, 2 working at the water treatment plant, and 1 working at wastewater. So long-term placement, employment's looking good across the board, whether it's MDC or our contractors. Next slide. As far as our workforce development and education partner metric goals, we've worked well with Ready CT and Pratt & Whitney. And on that industry and advisory board, we now have 2 MDC board seats between Carlos Bravo and myself. As far as the universities and high schools being engaged at the MDC, we've done 5 facility tours to date. We've been working great on pathway developments, whether it's Weaver High School or STEM program or Goodwin University. Our approach is, how can we team up with schools and universities so that we can provide training for new employees or high school students who aren't looking to go to college, but maybe they want to go to Goodwin and pick up, some classes in hydraulics or programmable logic control to become maybe an instrumentation and control tech. So these are just, a lot of the notable things that we did, over the years, and it was just all around a great success. Next slide. And as far as, the last couple of things that the community can visit and see, we recommend you visiting our YouTube page where you can see what the Tri-Trade program is about. You get a great feedback from the students who are in the program and see the success stories of where they are now, as well as the HEDCO training initiative. It's a great promotional video. You can see the feedback from our contractors where they talk about what their experiences were and how they benefited great from that partnership. And through that HEDCO initiative, we ended up giving out 3 awards where People's Bank gave some small financial checks to the 3 companies that really went through every single training process and really scaled their businesses. And as talked about previously, as far as doing the basement assessment blitz, that was an initiative between our communications department and myself and Carlos Bravo, where we made these door hangers and, went out to the community and who do people trust more than their pastor at their church, right? We went to all the various churches in the north end of Hartford, really explained that we are seeing a downtick in residents calling utility services to get those basement assessments. And by doing that basement blitz, we saw an increase in people calling in to get their basement assessment and contractors getting more work. So, that's about it as far as what we did for 2025, and it was a great success. As far as our Hartford labor numbers, you can see we were a little bit lower in Q4 with 18% participation, but overall, I think those numbers are going to come in a lot stronger, and you should see us, clicking up into the high 30s as far as our Hartford resident goal. Next slide. As far as our MBE and WBE participation, we're exceeding our goals with our minority businesses as far as the dollar amounts of the contractor work they're getting, and as far as WBEs, we were definitely in line with our goal for Q4, and we're coming back up on our overall dollar spent with women-owned businesses. So I would say success overall. And Jason, thanks for closing.
Thank you, Jeff. This is our closing slide. We've got a link on the website, or a link on the slide for our website as to how to stay informed. We do frequently give updates at NRZ meetings. Jeff and I gave an update at an NRZ meeting a couple nights ago on a couple projects. Again, these consent order meetings occur the second Thursday of the month in March, June, September, and December. They're virtual and also recorded. You can see them online on our YouTube channel. And with this, I'll open it up to see if anyone's had any comments or questions.
We can ask questions?
Yes, you can.
Oh. I wasn't really sure what kind of meeting.
Oh, that's okay.
My wife and I, Evelyn and I, we live on Granby Street. I was a little confused about Granby Street number 31189.
Sure. Do
And
you want us to put the map back on the screen? Do you want us to put the map back on the screen, or no?
yeah, if you could put the map on,
Yeah.
that'd be great. It was one with different colors.
Yep, I know which one you're talking about.
11,
Yeah, keep going. Keep going. Right there. That'll be good enough.
Yeah.
You can go full screen.
If you make it bigger, that'd be great.
Okay.
Okay, good.
Yep.
I want to say that we're in package, we're number 8, I think. Evelyn? Can you see?
What street are you on?
Granby at Thomaston.
Granby.
Granby at Pembroke,
Pembroke.
right near Plainville.
Before
So
we were,
I think I see the old Westbrook Village, so I'm kind of going there. And I think actually we might be 2 in the green. What do you think,
Yeah, Pembroke was in Granby 2.5, wasn't it?
I think you're in the green too,
Yes.
yes.
So did you have work done like 10 years ago, 15 years ago? Do you
they had
remember?
what?
Was there work done by your house like 10, 15 years ago?
There seems to,
yeah, Manafort back in the day.
Yeah.
what happened?
Manafort.
Your wife's saying yes, so
Uh,
so you're probably in the green Granby
One of
too.
the things we always get concerned about is that rep between our house and our neighbor is what we call you guys had called an overflow duct, and it supposedly go to the North Park River.
Yes, that's
And
Granby.
the issue has been that the North Park River is blocked up, so the
Yes.
work's gotta be done there.
Yes.
I'm trying to see, so you said that's not a focus right now, that the focus was on package C number 4,
Well, so Granby 2 and 5, the separation was already done.
right?
It was done about 15 years ago. Some of the style of work has been updated as to how we do it now. I would say if you have any problems in your house, I would definitely recommend having our utility services come out and do an assessment, because there might be additional protections that you can receive. If there aren't,
I think we take advantage and are in contact with MDC as needed.
okay,
And so they've been very responsive to us. The concern I have is that, our concern has always been, how much effort are you really making, and how much effort can we help you with in terms of getting that overflow to discharge in the Park River?
with the river itself.
You're right.
Yeah.
In terms of, what's really the advocacy for you guys to say, is that a major concern in terms of what might cause flooding
So,
in our area?
It's definitely a concern to the district, because obviously for our pipes to function, that river can't be here if the pipe is coming in here. Does that make sense? The river itself is the responsibility of the city of Hartford. That was why we did a partnership with them on the drainage study. So when we did the drainage study with the city of Hartford, the goal was 2 parts. One, what needs to happen to the river so that the river can have its maximum capacity. That's the city's part of the project. And then our part of the project is, what is our separation strategy for this area to maximize the benefits to the customers and also the reductions in sewer overflows. The two kind of got to go hand in hand and function together. I know the city itself is proceeding with, like, basically the study identified some next steps for the city to do for the river itself. I don't know for a fact where they are in that process, because they're kind of, that's their path. As far as the advocacy, I would recommend reaching out to the city public works, or if you want, I can put you in contact with someone there if you want to give me your contact information. If not, I can give you mine or whatever. But it's definitely a concern of the district because our pipes, in order for our pipes to function, that river has to be at maximum capacity. And that is really why we stepped away from 7, 8, 9 and went to 4, because 7, 8, 9 are flowing into that channel that goes by Weaver High School, underneath the railroad bridge, and it goes into the Park River. That there was pictures I showed where that channel is full of trees and vegetation and whatnot. The city is working on and will be cleaning that up, but they haven't given us a schedule as to when that is actually going to happen.
Did you say that, that report is gonna be due? I thought I heard you say.
So
that
the report is,
been
the report itself is,
finalized.
the report is finalized. Our consultant's actually doing an executive summary, so it basically becomes easier for everyone to read and digest. Because you're taking a document that's like probably this thick and making it like, here's the summary, here's the high points, this is what we're gonna do. That is gonna be done by the end of Q1. It's also gonna be presented at our district board once it's done. So I would recommend when
Will
that,
that report be available to the public?
it should, I believe it will be. I don't know what the plan is. I don't wanna commit to that, but at a minimum, it'll be presented at a district board meeting, which is a public meeting.
Yeah, we like to make sure we know that happens.
We're working with the city. I don't want to commit to when everything's happening. Again, the city itself is working on the river, but I don't know the exact schedule for when it's going to be going to the district board. We're still working with the city. We're still trying to also, in the same time, modify our consent order, which does tie all into this. If you want to take my contact information, I can give you updates as this progresses.
Yeah, we'll do that.
Okay.
Now, the combined sewer operation, like years ago when they tore up Granby Street, that was that idea of separating the sewer and
Yes.
stuff like that.
Yep.
And that's what you're doing in different parts of the city now?
Yes. Well, right now our focus is Granby. We're doing it in the Granby. That's what Granby 7 will be. And then we also did we did like kind of smaller pilot projects on Durham, Woodstock,
Right.
Branford, and Westland Garden. That's all that same concept.
Are those subcontractors, contractors that you use, or are those MDC employees that are doing the work? Because I'm trying to figure out the goals for hiring and city residents.
Mhm.
And it seems like those are private contractors, because they seem to have a different name on the
Yes.
truck.
So when we get funding from DEP, we have to publicly bid these projects.
Right.
So we don't really have a control as to which contractor gets it. But once we have a contractor that does get this work, that's where Jeff gets involved in trying to work with that contractor to either through their subs or through themselves to match them up with Hartford residents who have gone through one of the programs or who he has contact information with. Jeff?
Yes.
So, you want to talk about how you match make, say the one that was hired by BLD or the flaggers, like how that process works?
Sure. So before any of these projects went out to bid, we also had a pre-bid meeting, and we explained that this is the Hartford resident goal, and we asked, who has Hartford residents, who doesn't, who needs help. So when we go to various job fairs, or we have tried trade students who come to us for the summer, but then we don't have a position here at the MDC, but they have their flagger certification, we can make that contact. Also, with the training program that we did with HEDCO, a lot of those contractors were already Hartford contractors, like Travis from TT&CA, Top Notch Flaggers. They had Hartford employees, so when we were able to give them more work, they go out and purposely, intentionally hire people from the community to keep them employed. So that's how we've been doing it. A lot of the contractors who have worked with us previously, like Coastline, they've already had Hartford employees that they've had in the books since 2008 that just continue to work in the area. So we're just approaching it from every angle we can, so we can make sure that that number stays up.
And I think one of our largest percentages is the backwater valve house connection program, I'm assuming, correct?
Correct. So now that we have
Private property work.
yeah, so now that we have like Bovier not doing a lot of the work, and we have now Service Relief and Travis from TT&CA and All Points, those are all Hartford owned businesses or people that are from Hartford. And so by giving them the majority of the work, or positioning them in North Hartford specifically, right? We can send Bovier to West Hartford, Rocky Hill, all those outside of towns. But by giving those contractors the work, it concentrates our numbers so that we're up in like the 45%, Hartford resident participation on that scope.
All of the work in North Hartford are construction contracts that the contractors are signing. It's a requirement in there for them to have 30% of the labor overall on the project be Hartford residents.
Did I see one slide that the goal of 30% was not being met?
Correct.
Okay.
It's not met yet. A lot of it also depends on like where you are in the phase of the project. So if, for example, say the Hartford resident labor may be coming in as like restoration or dig work or like paving or something. If that work hasn't happened yet, the labor is going to happen, but that phase of the project hasn't happened yet, if that makes sense.
Well, I just want to, my visual tells me that I want to make sure that Hartford residents and people of color are not just the flaggers and the traffic folks, but they have opportunities for, these jobs that maybe the pay is better, the career is better, the skill level is better. And it sounds like you have programs that you're trying to do that. I'd like to know more about the success of that. Now, on Tower Avenue and Windsor Street, I don't know if you said most of those projects was completed. Are you separating sewer and water on there?
So
Just explain a little bit more.
Yep. So the Tower Ave area, that work was completed already. That was all sewer rehab work, just lining work and repair work. Most of that area was actually separated a decade ago. Windsor Street is going to be separated. We broke that project up into 3 parts. The first part is just the sewer lining. That's what's happening now. The second part was actually a new water main that had to go in, and we had to do the water main in order to put in the storm drain, because we're replacing our water main but putting it in a different spot where it makes it easier for our new storm drain to go in. So that work will start the middle of this year and carry through the end of this year. And then the storm drain work and the sewer separation work is happening next year. And that'll be Windsor Street from Sanford up to Main, and then Main Street to basically between Windsor and Cleveland.
Yeah, we still have a lot of problems over in the Granby Street area, Blue Hills. We live on the end of Pembroke. We're the lowest spot on.
Yeah, Granby does this.
Right.
Yeah.
We're the lowest spot between Plainville and Weaver, and we get it all.
So, I mean, you're getting stormwater flow that's flowing from other areas and coming to you. Obviously, that's not something that's going to be fixed overnight, but as we do, like say Granby 7, or when we move in eventually into 8, 9, and some of those other areas, it will improve over time. It's just not something that's going to improve like overnight.
Yeah, I hope I'll be here. I'm old.
I hope I'll be here too, actually.
So to your question though, as far as pay,
The only question I might have is what actually flows in the overflow? So is it when because the pipes in the street are massive, so I can't see them filling. So what is actually going in the overflow? And what's the potential for that backing up? Because that's our issue now. So
Yep.
we've had the sewer separation, we've had all of the private work done. So the main concern for us is when Hartford is going to do that.
And that's something that
Clear that overflow.
and I'm definitely going to use. Sorry, to continue.
So what actually has to overflow in order to go into the overflow?
Right now, you've got combined sewage that goes into that overflow. So it's when it rains, it's probably, I don't want to make up a number, but it's a high percentage of stormwater with some sewage also. That's what goes out that overflow pipe. The percentages probably vary from storm to storm, but it's a mixture of stormwater and sewage. When we separate, it'll just be stormwater. Yes.
We're already separated.
No, I know that, but
Other places.
other places outside of you are not, and that the pipe coming down Granby still has combined sewage in it from other areas upstream of you.
From the other areas.
Yes.
So I think that's what I'm getting at. So it's not just the water we're getting.
Yeah.
What other pipes are flowing into it?
That would be parts of what is the yellow area.
So just from the yellow area.
Yep.
None coming up from the Blue Hills Avenue area. So we don't have water coming down from Blue Hills.
No. Blue Hills
We have
is,
water coming from
so if I,
Bloomfield direction now.
yeah, if I kind of can point to a TV. Over here. So Blue Hills is this right here, kind of right by my finger. that's in white is not flowing to you, okay? Basically, the blue area flows south and west, the yellow area flows mostly south, and the red area flows south and west. Now, obviously, the red area really doesn't impact you because it's downstream of you, but you're impacted by the area in blue and the area in yellow, which, okay? Now, when we do Granby 7, yes, it will make your situation better. It'll be less sewage in that combined pipe. But the ultimate solution is all the yellow area and all the blue area to help you. Does that answer your question?
Back to your question on pay. So the flagger jobs are pretty high paying. I think they make almost like $40 an hour, right? Yeah. They don't make small bank at all.
And they get a lot of overtime.
They get overtime too.
A lot of overtime.
But I get your point, because that's something that we've talked about, Scott and everyone here, is that we do want to see people, increase their skill set, right? So that's why we want to see who can go out and get their CDL, which puts them in a different position. Maybe they want to apply to the utility maintainer position, right? We just had 2 tried trade students from 2024 leave, go off on their own. They both got their CDL, and lo and behold, they were the 2 top candidates for the UM1 job, so they're getting hired back. So we're bringing in 2 more younger kids that were in our tried trade from 2024. They're going to be now MDC employees. So those numbers will be in next presentation. So we'll have almost like 4.
The other thing,
We'll tie that.
the other thing I want to add about the flaggers is most of the work in Hartford has a high percentage of police traffic control. Just by nature of the traffic areas you're working in and just the way the city has historically managed its traffic during construction. So you could have a Hartford resident hired by a traffic control company or a flagging company in Hartford, and they might do, say, work on the Tower Avenue job or something like that. But then we're doing a lot of work outside of Hartford that has generally more flaggers for traffic control than police. So that same individual now has an opportunity to do work there as well. They're not just doing this.
Now, today we saw a couple of persons at the big metal gray thing that's across the street from my house. Now, we thought that was like an NBC water monitoring thing. The big, what do you call those things that on the corners?
The box? Is it
Yeah,
the box?
big
Yeah, so
box.
actually, it might have been the CS control project, but so those boxes, what they do is where those overflow pipes are, we're required to basically measure or monitor how that pipe is doing, like basically the height of the water in the pipe,
Right,
because that tells us when it overflows.
right.
So those boxes are I would say the communication mechanism to come back to us to tell us what's happening. Now, I don't know what the individuals were doing today there. It could have been just a routine check. It could have been,
Right.
I'm not quite sure, but that's what that box is. And long term, eventually, when those overflows are eliminated, because we are required to permanently eliminate those overflows because they go to the open channel of the North Branch Park River,
Right.
that box may or may not still be there. Maybe we would still use it as just a way to monitor how our system's doing, because it's a good data point for us. But so I don't really know what they were doing today, but that's what that box is.
Yeah, because I'd always thought that part of the overflow is that when you had heavy rain, the overflow will go into the river. But you're right, if it goes in the river's already high, that's not very helpful.
Correct.
So when you get a lot of rain, you'll be able to divert that to other places, or.
So one of the things that we're doing long term in this area is we have 2 pipes that discharge to the river. There's a couple other storm pipes that are smaller than not the MDCs, but we have 2. One is the one that's by your house, the overflow, and then one is the one that's at the very bottom of Granby, just before Westbourne Hollow. There's another box there. So those are our 2 existing overflow points. We know that all this separation, we need more pipes just to get the water out to the river. There's going to be 3 more pipes ultimately that go to the river that are stormwater only, and eventually the 2 that are there now are also stormwater only. So you're going to end up with 5 pipes coming out of the Granby area discharging stormwater to the river. And the more outfalls you have, the more capacity the system as a whole has. So that's actually what the drainage study found was this is what you need to get the stormwater out of this area is those 5 points together. Mm-hmm.
will also, be determined by what happens with the cleanup of the river?
That'll be part of the conversation, because we have had meetings with the city, getting them to try to like commit to a schedule. The other part of it is just gonna be, funding, affordability, like, one of the other factors in all of this is trying not to do too much work at once, because we don't want your clean water project charge to jump through the roof. That's, obviously that's a consideration. The next one should be, well, Granby 7 is gonna tie to the existing conduit, but the next new outfall is going to be, 11, and I expect that's the one at the bottom that's gonna drain the area in red. As long as our consent order modification goes per our conversations with Deep, how we expect it, that would be the next one, and that will be happening sometime around 2032. By the time you design that project, that's probably 2032 completion. The red is 2030-ish completion. And the reason for the delay is just the permitting to get a new outfall is not easy. So that's one of the beauties in that red area is we can temporarily tie it into that existing overflow down there, and it will benefit the area. Ultimately, we need that other overflow too, but we don't want to do nothing and wait for that pipe to be there when we could provide a benefit. And actually, that does help you, because during extreme events, if a lot of water was coming from that red area going to, Granby, because that's where it does flow, if you envision kind of like a backup of traffic, as more comes in downstream of you, if there's a backup of traffic, it's kind of gonna like back up cars, or in this case, water. So removing even water from that red area does actually help you, because you're removing the downstream congestion. You're, putting in a new lane on the highway kind of thing.
So it's possible with the what do you guys call those big gray things?
Oh, the boxes?
Yeah,
Yeah,
call them boxes.
yeah, boxes. It looks like a traffic control box.
Right, it looks like a traffic control box. So you can monitor it. That'll tell you if it's an overflow.
Yes.
Right?
That tells us if it's overflowing, and it also tells us, even if it's not overflowing, it tells us the depth of the water in the pipe, which is, one of the unique things to Hartford is we've got 83 of those locations throughout the city. So we've got 80, this is very unique, because outside of Hartford, we don't have this. And the dorky engineer in me thinks this is really neat, but we've got 83 locations where we know what the depth of the water is. And most sewer systems do not have that. So as we eliminate overflows, the engineer in me would say, let's keep that, because it tells me if there's a problem happening. Because even if all the separation happened, say there's some kind of blockage or collapse in a pipe downstream, well, we would know something was happening in the system before it impacted customers, just by looking at what the level of that water is.
Unless you get 100-year rain in 10 years.
Yeah.
Ellie, anything? No, thank you.
You're welcome, guys. Do you want my contact information?
Yes.
Okay. You could probably, any other questions from people online? I don't know if you can exit the screen.
Did you see the joint chat?
We had the screen put up, and were they from you?
No, they're from Rhonda. Rhonda's asks, will the river be dredged to eliminate trees, trash, etc.?
Mm-hmm. And what's the second question? I can't read them. I'm
West
sorry.
Hartford flows down to Hartford. She's asking if the West Hartford sewer stuff flows down to Hartford.
Okay, so the first part of the question, whether or not it's dredged or debris is removed, it's really the same thing, but there were recommendations in the report to the city. There is some further study needed. That was what I was discussing before, but that's really a question for the city of Hartford as to what they're going to do and when. We really can't speak for the city, but there are definitely recommendations in there. I think the report, if I remember correctly, there were some pockets of the river, specifically down near where it comes into Farmington Avenue, where there was definitely some debris that could be removed that would lower the river a couple inches, which may not seem like a lot, but if you have a flat property and there is a flood, a couple inches actually goes back quite a ways horizontally on your property. And it does make a difference also for overflow pipes. And then the second question was West Hartford. West Hartford does flow into Hartford, but not really in this area. There's a small part of West Hartford that flows into Hartford in this area. Actually, this area takes more sewage from Bloomfield than it does West Hartford. Is Rhonda still online? Yeah. Rhonda, do you have any more questions? I can't read.
She said things.
Oh, okay. Thank you, Rhonda. You're welcome. My eyes are not that good. If there's no other questions, we will end the meeting.
Tell Chris Stone Ken Green said hi.
Oh, I will. Sorry, I think yeah, it's you, not him on the screen. I'm looking at the screen. Sorry, Jen. Yep, we're good. All right, thank you guys. I thought that was you.